Hello everybody. Today we'll be back in Finnish Journal number 2, and it'll be under chapter 6, and this will be part 1. Precious, I remind you that you are not to stop to ponder these things which I bring unto you. This is Sananda. It is necessary that we pen them, and at the appropriate time the content can be discussed. This is the authentic record as preserved, from scrolls which are in safekeeping in Pleiades. The entire instrument is dissonance, and its very purpose of this is the very purpose of this journal. So be it. Ours is not to rewrite, but to correctly document. Might we move on, please? Questions from the Baptist. At the time of preparation, and teaching of Emmanuel to his disciples, John the Baptist was incarcerated in prison. However, John also had many disciples who were going about the lands. Words of Emmanuel's teachings and followings were carried back to the ears of John, as it came to John's attention. He sent his disciples unto Emmanuel to make inquiry of the young teacher. They inquired, Are you the one who is to come, the King of wisdom, as was told by the prophets, or shall we wait for another? Emmanuel answered and spoke to them, Go and tell John what you hear and see. The blind see, and the lame walk. The lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. The dead rise, and to those who seek the truth of knowledge it is given. Blessed are those who are not offended by my teachings. When John's disciples had gone, Emmanuel started to speak to the people about John. What did you go to see in the desert? Did you want to see a reed shaken by the wind? Or what did you really go out for, and to see what? Did you seek to find a person in soft and supple clothing? Behold, those who wear soft clothes are in the houses of kings, officials, the rich, hypocrites, scribes, and priests. Or did you go forth, for you wish to see a prophet? Yes, I tell you, he is more than a prophet. John is the one whom it is written, See, I send my messenger before you, who shall prepare your path before you. Verily I say to you, among all who are born by woman, or women, there is none arisen who is greater than John the Baptist. From the time of John the Baptist until now, the earth suffers from violence, and those who commit violence seize the earth away. For all the prophets in the law have prophesied to the time of John. And if you wish to accept it, he is Elijah, who is to come again, that the path would be prepared. And aka reincarnation, and this was even left in our Bible, funny enough. The so-called Holy Bible, where there's no contradictions though, right? He who has ears, hear. To whom shall I compare this generation? It does not matter to the children who sit at the market and call to their playmates, saying, We are striking up the music, and you do not want to dance? We make ourselves hoarse with wailing and speeches, and you did not want to mourn. John, who is Elijah, did not eat, nor did he drink. And now it is said that he is possessed. Now I have come, I eat and drink. And they say, See what a glutton and a wine-bibber he is? A friend to the publicans, custom officers, and to the infidels? And yet wisdom is justified through the works shown forth. Praise be the creation. Praise be the creation of heaven, and the universes and the earth, for revealing the knowledge and the power of the Spirit, which the false teaching has forbidden, or hidden, from the expanding wise and those filled with knowledge. Now to those who are honest seekers. Yes, it has been very kind of the creation, wherefrom came God and his celestial sons, whereby they have stopped the misuse of power among the human races. All things have been given over to men, and no one knows the secret of the creation, that is, no man, and thus not God or his followers. And all things have been given to me now by God, whose guardian angels taught me the laws and the knowledge of nature, and the laws emanating from the creation. Come to me, all of you who are searching and thirsty for knowledge and truth, and I will receive you and restore you. Take upon you the yoke of learning of the new teachings, for it is the recognition, and you will find peace within it for your life. You will find that the development of the Spirit is gentle and its burden most light. Marriage and cohabitation. Emmanuel was constantly pressed with questions regarding the laws of marriage and everything related thereto. Most ones were most sorry they had asked. These writings will be discussed in depth at a future time, Dharma, for they are most abused and confounding of all teachings. There are universal laws and are most frequently rewritten to be suitable to man's whims. Nonetheless, there is a most logical and rational reason for such rules, which range from parentless children, birth to calamitous disease, and broken spirits thus thrust upon one another. And just going to make a point in here, that's those 18 laws of God. That's where you can find that. Do not debate it here, as this is not the format for such. Remember, we are translating the scrolls, as has been given unto you prior to this. There is not to prevent the loving of another, of opposite or same sexual affiliation. It is the behavior of physical lust and practice which is disdained. Love has no boundaries of soul, caring, and emotion. Physical activities come under limits of accessibility for myriads of just reasonings. So be it. He spoke thusly, You have been given the commandment, You shall not commit adultery. Irrespective thereof, people commit adultery and practice fornication, thus going against the laws of nature. But it is written, He who commits adultery and fornication shall be punished, for the fallible are unworthy of life and its laws, for they should be sterilized. If man or woman, not married, cohabit with each other, they should be punished, for the fallible are unworthy of life and its laws, and they too should be sterilized. If two men consort with one another in intimate sexual relationships, they should be punished, for the fallible are unworthy of life and its laws. Therefore they should be sterilized, and further expelled and banned before the people. If, however, two women cohabit with each other, they should not be punished, for they do not go against life and its laws, since they are not inseminating, but bearing. When inseminator and inseminator are united, life is desecrated and killed. But if conception and conception are united, there is no desecration, no killing, nor creating. But activities of lustful pleasure are incorrect. This is an exploitation of nurturing and loving. Verily I say to you, there is no animal under the sky which, like man, would go against the laws of the creation and of nature. But are you not more than the animal? He who indulges in lustful fornication for the sake of pay or pleasure to the physical senses should be therefore sterilized, that he or she not be allowed procreation, and further should be evicted and banned before the people. He who molests and unites cohabits with a child is unworthy of life itself and its laws, and should be punished so that he will lose of his life. Likewise, he who indulges in incest is thusly unworthy and should be treated likewise. He who cohabits with an animal is likewise unworthy and should be treated likewise. And you can go further in depth on all these, on the 18 laws of God and the law of creation. Now, Dharma, comes a really hard one to swallow in concept, and is one of the rules that has been rewritten so many times to suit man that has lost all conceptual meaning. It revolves around responsibility to the child created from the old or from the new relationship. It is always with the seeking of pleasure that all laws are broken, either through seeking a pleasure of self or greed. I do not make the laws, and it is unimportant whether or not ye of ones of earth like them, or do not like them. There is ample reason upon which these laws of creation are based and balanced. You will note that many times the phrase loss of life is included, or lose life. Yes, it is that serious, Sheila, or student of light. It just has long since the writing of the law been ignored and hidden. It is the time of the coming again, for the correction of these things which have caused thy civilization of man to drop into degradation. Through these very misusings, you brought yourselves unto destruction. It pleases me not either, but so be it. At the time of accounting, these things done in ignorance are most surely evaluated justly, and ones are not randomly thrown into the pits of fire and brimstone. You ones need not rush out and compound thy errors. You will use wisdom in all things. Divorce. He who marries a man or woman who is divorced is guilty and should be sterilized, for they are unworthy of life in its laws, and both should be expelled and banned before the people. He who begets a child and is not married to the woman is unworthy of life in its laws, and should be punished so that he will lose his life. And he who creates a child in this union, and abandons that child, shall have his name stricken from the book of life. Verily, verily, I say to you, these laws were given by the creation and nature, and they should be followed, or men bring death upon themselves, and all mankind. I like to call it self-suicide. Let it be noted herewith, that there are limits beyond which a planet cannot support mankind in quantities through misuse or procreation. Earth can nurse and support 500 million people of all human races in balance and in harmony with nature as brought forth, without exploitation of reaping unbalance. Just like we gotta use certain fertilizers to even grow enough food for all the people we have. But if these laws are not followed, there will be in 2,000 years 10 times 500 million, 5 billion people on the earth will not be able to get sustenance and secure for survival. All balance will be lost and destruction cannot be avoided. Let me ask you, is it not to that point now? Will it be like 9 billion people now or something like that? And you got me to think when this was finally discovered, we was at about exactly 5 billion. There will be famines and catastrophes and great world wars, and epidemics will control the earth, and the human races will kill one another, and only a few will survive. Verily I say to you, there will be crying and gnashing of teeth when so much human blood will soak the sands of the earth, so that new forms of life will come from it, which will bring the final dreadful horror to mankind. All good things were given unto you, and you received the laws according to which you are to live. You should adhere to these and additional laws, so that you should prosper on earth and have peace in your families. Remove the power of the old law that women should be subject to man, since she is a person equal to man in spirit respect, and has equal rights and obligations. There are many distortions in the laws since they were given forth by God and the celestial sons, for man has built them to be suitable unto themselves. When a man marries a woman, he shall pay to the most trusted steward the handling of her possessions as a price of security, lest she suffer from lack of necessities. The price should be calculated in such a way that for each year of her life 100 pieces of silver should be the basis, measured according to her knowledge, her ability, and her strength, provided her health is not lacking. The price is not to be considered that of a purchase, for no person can be bought or sold. See Law 18. But as security for the woman, lest she suffer lack. The bond of matrimony between man and woman should be permeated only if both are of mental competency and capable of leading a marriage in accordance with the law. You should enter a marriage as a man and wife, only if the price has been paid for the wife, that no dishonor be forthcoming from the man, and that the wife be sufficiently cared for. If, according to predetermined agreement, no price is paid, the law applies, the man must supply the needs of the wife regarding of her necessities. The inability of the wife to bear children, or a man's inability to sire children, is no reason for divorce, nor does she or he deserve other opinions or actions. The only reason for divorce is that of adultery. That is the destruction of or endangering of spirit, the body, or the life of the numbers of one's own family unit. If a person is divorced by his own actions of adultery, he should be sterilized, for he is unworthy of life and its laws, for he has responded to the selfish lustful drives of pleasure-seeking, and has cast aside all responsible behavior. The basis for these laws. The act of marriage and procreation must have the highest degree of pure intent and preparation, for upon these bonds and restrictions will the rest of preservation of mankind as a species upon the planet. Will rest the preservation of mankind as a species upon the planet. And if everything is done and adhered to, justice and peace will come to all mankind, and life in the human form can be preserved. If man continues his selfish and imprudent behavior, he will sound his own death tariff. There reaches a point beyond which a planet cannot support the unbalanced system perpetrated by mankind. And yet, so shall it come to pass that man will not listen and bring destruction upon his own species. It will come about in some 2 millennium, or 2,000 years, and it already has. And that man will have reached the point of self-destruction, And so it is projected by the prophets, and so shall it come to pass, and in its times of fulfillment, and in my time of fulfillment. Homer, let's take a respite, please. This was a most important portion, for it is thy reason of desperate plight of this current time. Peace unto you, for thy heart and mind is pained and sorrowed. Truth is most hard to confront, beloved ones, most difficult. It comes now as explanation, for it's too late to change a bit of it. So Lou, I'd like a point. What will happen to our society is called cause and effect, one of the laws of 18 laws of God. You know, the cause of it was overpopulation. And you see the effect now. And every one of these things that are going to be reading through this have already mainly come to pass. So how many coincidences do you need before you believe something? Or do you just believe something because that's what your mom and dad believe and that's what your church believes? But that'll be it for this video. Thank you.